Weigh-In is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Mama, please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh-In. Some great shots coming in from Auckland Cup Day where we enjoyed history being made. Melody Bell, of course, galloped into the history books with a 14th New Zealand Group 1, making her the all-time most winning New Zealand Group 1 winning horse. Fantastic record for her. We also saw Ocean Billy getting a first Group 1, as well as Sword of State, the 2-year-old. All of that to come during our show. Michael Guerin joins me, and Michael, as always, lots to get through and a fantastic day at the races.
It was fun, Emily, wasn't it fun? And it was so diametrically opposed, like Sword of State, the big $600,000 Schnitzel colt, and then Melody Bell getting the record for this gigantic machine, which is Tiaka. We'll talk about some of their stats later on. And then Bill Pomare, which is a totally different kettle of fish, and we've got some real interview gold to come with him. A lot of information has come out today about where some of these horses are and aren't heading, and some of it may surprise you. So stick around, there's a lot coming up, including what I thought was one of the other unexpected heroines of Auckland Cup Day.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll get into that straight away, and we kick things off with the Auckland Cup, which was taken out by Ocean Billy.
And Ocean Billy's now turning on the afterburners to go up and join them. G-Sound has got very prominent very quickly. Further back then to Charles Road as they turn and head for home. Then Vito Rosso, homeward bound, 3:50 to go, and Ocean Billy the leader. Got away by 2 lengths. Sound looks to hunt him down. Then Roger that further back. Charles Road, Vito Rosso, Platinum Invader. It's Ocean Billy at the 200. Can he hold on? He's 3 lengths clear from Sound. Platinum Invader and battling on Charles Road. Ocean Billy's in charge in the Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup, and it goes to Rotorua and Bill Pomare. Ocean Billy won it. Photos to second between Charles.
Well, I spoke to you before the race, Bill. I said, thanks for coming on Weigh-In a couple of months ago after the Waikato Cup, and what did you say to me?
I said, you'll be interviewing me on Monday.
Were you really that confident?
I was. I know that he can run 2 miles. People kept saying, can he go 2 miles? I said, he will easily go 2 miles. That was the most confident I had more confidence for him to go 2 miles than to go 1.5 miles.
Behind you, Bill, is the photograph of Roger that winning the Auckland Cup last year. On this wall at Ellerslie, the Wall of Fame, Ocean Billy's going to go up there. I know that means a lot to you.
Oh, look, unbelievable, because, you know, if you ever look deep into the circumstances behind my whole breeding of these horses, how I came to get them, and my life, you would not believe it. My life is a life that people read in fiction, you know, and I was able to come through that and end up breeding and owning good horses and owning a business. I say to people out there that give up and struggle, no. Because if you've got enough grit and you stick to what you believe in, you'll achieve it. And I think I'm probably the biggest proof of that, because I came into life with nothing. I was abandoned, and I got out of that. I did an apprenticeship, became an electrician, earned enough money to be able to buy 1 mare. I've got to thank Ken Thompson, because he took me to the sales, and I bought this mare at the sales. Wasn't meant to, I didn't take any money, but I bought this mare, and all these results have all come from that one time. How good is he? I don't really know. I think he is a very good horse. Where does he go to next? Well, the weight's going to determine that, so probably he's going to go to Australia.
Would you have a crack at the big one, Flemington?
Definitely, because I really believe this horse. If you'd have seen this horse before the race, fast asleep, standing in his box, if you'd seen him travelling up, he is the most relaxed horse you could ever get. But he has a little spirit in him. This guy seems to have this X factor about him, which I have never seen in any other horse. Most of my horses are really wild, and I mean wild. They knock me around all the time. I've had broken ribs and that, and they are super wild. This guy is a gentle horse. He loves people, calls out to Susie. As soon as he sees Susie coming down there, he calls out, man, has he got a heart and a turn of speed.
Bill, last time when you won the Waikato Cup, we interviewed you live on Way and you were at a party. Now, I want you to tell the truth. Had you been drinking last time you came on Way in for the interview?
I'd had a couple, yes. I'd had a couple, yes, I had a couple.
Hey, pretty popular. It must be very humbling to get all the jockeys coming past here shaking your hand.
Oh, look, what people don't realise, he's won 7 races with 6 different jockeys. He's just about had every jockey around riding, you know. I tried to get Opie, remember? And Emily was going to help me get Opie.
She didn't help much, did she?
She didn't help at all. Opie still wouldn't ride him. And in the end, I just had to grab what the jockeys I could, but I'm so pleased that Jonathan Parks, his agent, had rung me and asked if he could ride him. And I thought, whoa, that solves the problem, doesn't it? Yeah, so, as I say, a lot of my horses have a lot of different jockeys ride them. That's the way I am. I give apprentices a go. I always give apprentices a go. Thanks, Ian.
Well, congratulations.
But,
Congratulations. Tell you what, we've got too many people wanting to shake your hand and congratulate you, Bill. We'll leave you to take care of that marker. That spot on the wall there, Bill, that's going to be yours for the next year.
I'm going to come and see that. Shall I come back next year and try and get it again? Thanks.
Just a wonderful story, isn't it? It's a real fairy tale of Auckland Cup Day, and you've got to love Bill and what he represents. It's just awesome to see him and that little horse. He didn't just win, he absolutely smashed them, and probably should apologise to Bill. I was meant to help him out, but I'd say he's pretty delighted he got Jonathan Parks because it was a peach of a ride as well.
Great ride. He bolted it. As you said, if Sound, who was the favourite, had won that easily, people would have been going, well, look, they're just so much better than our stayers, aren't they? Like, little Rotorua horses turned up there and won. Amazing story, Bill's story. His mum was very young when Bill was born, very, very young. And Bill had to go live with another family because she wasn't old enough to look after him. And then he got stomach cancer when he was 39.
Wow.
And it's quite emotional. And, you know, as he said, and his words are far more important than mine, just don't give up. If you go through tough times, don't give up. So that's serious human drama away from racing drama. I can only imagine what the Australians are going to make when Bill rocks up to Flemington.
I can't wait, and I hope, or Sydney Cup, and I hope Ocean Billy just smashes them.
Sydney Cup's a no because the late entries are closed, so he's not going to go to Sydney.
He can't go to Sydney,
He wants to go to Melbourne.
Yep.
And the Auckland Cup's been good enough to qualify for Melbourne the last couple of years.
Okay.
They just love him. They would love him to rock up over there. I hope he goes. I'm not sure he can win a Melbourne Cup. Probably can't.
Charles Road ran a blinder. Chosen One ran a blinder. There's no reason we've got to be in to win. You know, you stay the trip. That's half the battle. Yeah,
it's just a great story, and it's not a fluke because he won the Waikato Cup in a very similar fashion. Parks, he rode him beautifully, so a banner summer for him. Obviously, having won the Karaka Million as well. You mentioned Charles Road. Let's get the thoughts of Lance O'Sullivan on the runner-up who won his best race for probably a year. Well, Lance, you and Scotty must be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted. You know, the old boy's been running some very good races with very little luck, but I think it was fantastic to see him really put in today, which is really what he did. He travelled 3 deep the trip. You know, no fault of Michael's. He just said, you know, everywhere he went, he was always parked out there. But yeah, just great to see him do what he did out there today.
David's never been scared to travel his horses. Do you sit down with him this week and discuss whether those days are over for this horse or whether he does get on another plane?
Oh, look, that'll be entirely up to David and Diane. We leave it up to them where they decide to actually race their horses. But, you know, I know he's pretty excited after the race, and I certainly wouldn't try and dampen his excitement or anything, but that decision I'm sure David will make during the week.
So that was based around Sir Charles Road, who will potentially head to Australia. Let's have a little look at that Sydney Cup market as we take it in. Closes obviously on the 10th of April, and Sir Charles Road, the chosen one as well. We'll get to that later, obviously, but yeah, a good picture coming together.
Yeah, this market's moved a lot, and it's going to move a lot more in the next couple of weeks for 2 reasons. First of all, form out of races like potentially a Ranvit or, of course, a Tancred with some of those lead-up races, but also the weather. The weather's going to be crucial to everything. We're going to talk about that a lot coming up tonight. So he's not going, obviously. Ocean Billy's not going. Charles Road will probably go. David likes to travel his horses, and he's earned some money now. Whether he goes for that or goes for a supporting races of some sort. Quick Thinker's obviously already over there. Just getting back to Ocean Billy, the mare Cool Storm had a couple of Sweyness foals and then had a one to Stephanos, has gone back to Ocean Park this year.
Oh, great.
So it goes back to Ocean Park this year. There's Charles Road at 100 to 1. She's gone back to Ocean Park. Sound is back on the plane tonight, so he is off to Sydney to go to potentially a Sydney Cup or maybe even the Tancred or the Randwick. So Sound, who was okay, I thought, but
just didn't settle and maybe cost himself a little bit. I don't know. Just didn't quite relax enough, did he?
I think the winner won so well, it's really hard to make excuses for anything else. And Platinum Invader probably just got a little bit too far out of his ground, and he ran on really well. So I thought there was enough to like about some of them. A horse who dropped out really badly was Star Czar. Spoke to Andrew Forsman, co-trainer tonight. Nothing wrong with the horse. When the horse drops out that badly, you think something might have gone wrong. He said, look, got in front, didn't like to be there, just got taken on. All just too much at the end of a very long campaign. So he went to the paddock, as does Robusto, the Avondale Cup winner. So, look, I thought it was a great race, but a very memorable race for the fact that not just Ocean Billy and what he might achieve, but what Bill, Pomari, Emily has achieved in his life to get this far.
Yeah, exactly right. Now we move on to our history maker. 14 Group 1 wins for the Queen of the New Zealand turf in Melody Bell.
From on the rocks. Out deeper is the outside Paisley Park, and then followed by Bowden. Avantage now looking to warm up. The Melody Bell still continues to track her. Concert Hall near the inner is looking to come through. Now the big guns start to fire up, and also Royal Performer across the track of the 250. Now taking over, we've got Melody Bell out wide, swept up to them. Bowden over on the insides and for the fight. So is Avantage. It's Melody Bell, Avantage, and Tiptronic. Melody Bell. Ring the bell. Melody's back in town, and that is 14 Group 1s, the all-time greatest winning Group 1 winner in the history of New Zealand racing here. She's done it, Melody Bell. Photos for the miners.
There's so much going on today, I suppose you haven't had too much chance to think about it, but maybe it'll sink in this week, what she's achieved.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had a busy day here at Ellerslie, and we've still got Probabel to run at Moonee Valley, so I was just so proud of her. You know, especially off the back of what happened at Te Rapa, and to you know, get her back in the groove and going so well is a true credit to everyone involved.
Now you've had a chance to analyse it and look at it over the last month. Do you still have any idea what happened at Te Rapa?
Just probably didn't have enough petrol when we needed to get going at the half mile, and from then it was just very difficult. There was no room, and she basically went to the line untested, so I can't blame her for that. She gives 100% every time she goes to the races when she's got an opportunity to gallop and have a little bit of room. So I think you saw that today. She got a bump at the top of the straight, and some people, you know, including myself, might have thought, oh, you know, wonder if she's going to turn it up. But she loves racing. Took Troy a lap to pull her up, so she's just the ultimate. And obviously crowned today with the 14 Group 1s.
What would you like to do with her? There's one Group 1 left here, but there's a whole bunch in Australia. She wasn't good enough in Australia in the spring. Would you like to go back?
Yeah, I would. She got found out in Sydney over the shorter trips, there's no doubt about that. And then, you know, we took her back after she was so impressive at Hastings and ran a super race in the McKinnon to finish third, probably the best 2,000 metre weight for age race in the spring. So there is races you can target like a Queen Elizabeth, which is top shelf, or there's other races you can target like a, you know, Doomben Cup or something like that. There is races for her, I believe, and we're certainly, you know, interested in taking her back and giving her that chance.
Since you started taking a more senior and then eventually the senior role in the stable, she's been there since that. So you've been with her the whole way along. What does it mean to you? Because if you were a 5-horse barn, I presume she'd be the only thing you think about, but you're a 100-horse barn or even more. So what does she actually mean to you personally?
Oh, she's been done such a wonderful job for my career, for Te Akea, for Fortuna, for everybody concerned, and I guess, you know, her record suggests that she's the best we've trained. There has been other horses that have had problems, you know, for example, Te Akea Shark, who had the raw ability, but he had soundness issues. So I think that's the main thing about Melody Bell. She keeps turning up season after season, sound and competitive, and wants to be a racehorse. And every morning when I go around and check the horses, she is there, ears pricked, waiting for a pat and a cuddle and a bit of a scratch between the ears. So I love her to pieces, and it's going to be a sad day when we do make the decision that that's the last race.
Oh, Jamie, talking about Melody Bell and what a queen she's been to the stable, as he was highlighting, and just so fitting to see that potentially, well, from what we understand, it is her final race in New Zealand to go out like that on the big stage at headquarters there at Ellerslie. And you just got the impression she would put a line through that last run and she'd come out and put in a performance like that, and that's exactly what she did.
I didn't know if she would. I didn't know if she'd had enough. It's hard to tell because Te Rapa was not by her standards a great performance, whether there was ride dependent, which I don't think it was, or she just had a bad day. And I thought at the 600 or 800 when she was back there last, I thought, well, she's going to need to earn this because there's 5 Group 1 winners in front of her. And that's probably how you should win a race, a record like this. You should earn that record by beating that many good horses. She came home in 33.6, her last 600, got a bump at the top of the straight. So there was no excuses about it. Avantage had a better run and she just outpointed her. So she's still the queen. Really interesting news coming out today from John Galvin that they are going to target the Tancred. Now that's at Rosehill, not this Saturday, the Saturday after, over 2,400 metres, Emily, which sounds a stretch, but the way she hit the line there and then kept going after the line for Troy, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just probably an idea I don't think many people had it. And obviously Jamie didn't mention in that interview. So what do you make of that?
I think it's probably quite fitting. I think we've established that the 2000 is up there with her best trip. I think in Australia she'd get away with a 2-4. She might find an off track in Australia, which would be to her advantage. And I think we've also established that Queen Elizabeth races like that are a level above perhaps where she's at, but targeting the fillies and mares races or a race like this, just bringing that quality back, changing the circumstances, that she can really be competitive. She's shown that multiple times. So I think it's maybe not a decision I would have thought of, but I can't see it's a natural progression on her path. She's rock hard fit. She's fit at the 2000, so why not?
Well, Adib and Very Elegant go to the Ranvet this week, so I don't think both of them will go to the Tancred. They're more likely to go to the Queen Elizabeth, so you might dodge a couple of the really big guns. And of course, once she's in Sydney, they can then choose a Coolmore or a Queen Elizabeth, or they can go up to Brisbane for the Auckland Cup. So she has the 2 or 3 potential races. Out of the others, Avantage, they're thinking of staying here and going to Te Araha for the Te Araha Breeders, which is going to be a fantastic race because we'll see Levante later on. I'm pretty sure she'll end up there. I thought Royal Performer was really good for a horse we knew nothing about at the start of this campaign. Spoke to Bob Vance, he's heading to the paddock. He's had enough. He'll come back for Hastings, but he ran home in the second fastest last 600. He was really good to the line. A lot to like about Bowden. Tiptronic, really brave.
Oh, always honest, isn't he?
He was great. He was really good. And he's obviously already a Group 1 winner. So he's a horse who they would struggle to find options for now in this country, so you're not sure what you would do with him. And I thought Concert Hall was okay, and she'll probably have the chance to go to Sydney or Brisbane. So a lot of form's going to come out of that race, but I didn't see when I woke up this morning Melody Bell going to the Ranvet, to the Tancred being part of that form, and that's going to be a really interesting test for her. And I could think their team for Sydney's growing all the time, but again, like everybody, weather dependent for most horses, not so much for her.
Yes, we know she had. No, in fact, she's probably at an advantage with an off track, isn't she?
It'd be interesting to see if they go 2,400 in the week, because that might race as the 26, and therefore they might want to go to something else. But also depends. The Coolmore Legacy, because there's now a Coolmore Stakes the other day, there's a Coolmore Legacy on the 10th of April, which is a weight for age mile for the mares. That's $1 million. That's perfect for her. On a dry track, they have the option to put Probabel in that space.
Okay.
On a wet track, they have the option to put Melody Bell, or they could both go there. But clearly Melody Bell on a wet track could win that for $1 million, and clearly on a dry track Probabel did. So that's a nice position to be in, to have a few pieces on the chessboard when you're moving into $1 million spaces.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. Let's get along to a little 2-year-old who was pretty successful on Saturday too, taking out the Sistema Stakes in brilliant fashion.
Pierre Victor and Fonsolette on the corner, 500 metres to go, and the 2-year-old's about to turn for Group 1 glory here, and the pacemaker is Sort of State, given more rain, leads a half length on the bubbles, is going with it though, 2 lengths away next Magneto, followed in behind these in by Bonnie Lass, further back 720 in Bergheim. Sort of State has shaken off on the bubbles, 3 lengths away then, and behind these next is Bonnie Lass and then Magneto, but Sort of State and Opie Boss and KG Ride wins the Sistema Stakes and wins it brilliantly. Second over was...
Well, Opie, he's obviously a pretty good colt.
He is. He's such a relaxed professional colt, and just does whatever you want to without an effort, really.
Looks like one of those natural speed colts who gets there, wants to be there and does the job. They're awfully hard to run down when they can do that and get against the rail.
Yeah, he did, and perfect draws today, and he got there and got good sectionals throughout. And he doesn't overdo things, which is good, and he just sits there nicely on the bridle, and you can feel him coming up underneath you, turning for home, which is a good sign of a good horse.
If he doesn't go to the slipper, the next two options are both 1400, the size produce here or over there. Do you think he'll relax enough to cop 1400?
He will. When I won on a few starts back, he was off the bit completely and run down the tearaway leader. So all the indications are there that he will run 1400 metres because he's just such a laid-back horse. So at 2, they can do it anywhere.
Well, David, you have the option to go to a slipper. Is it an option you're going to take?
It's an option we're certainly going to look at very seriously, but we'll let the colt tell us. It's a very unusual thing to do, but I think he's a very good colt. He'd have to go home tonight and literally eat up and really thrive, and then on Monday Jamie would have to be very, very happy with him, and everything would have to be 1000%, but it's certainly something that we're giving serious consideration to. If
he didn't go to the slipper, would he still go to Awapuni?
There's probably a 50-50 chance that he'd go to Awapuni, or the size produce in Sydney at Randwick is what I'm pretty keen to do.
What about on the bubbles? He looks like a horse who may have had enough?
Yeah, on the bubbles isn't really a natural 2-year-old. It's incredible what he's achieved, winning the Karaka Million. He's been a really good ambassador for the stable, but my gut feeling is that he's had enough, and we'll turn him out and get him ready for the Hawke's Bay Guineas, the 2000 Guineas. He's going to be a really good 3-year-old.
And it doesn't really matter what sort of stake does from here, because he is a Group 1 winning colt, which is such a valuable asset to his resume. Some exciting stuff, though, because Summer Passage is probably the last 2-year-old that I can think of that jumped the Tasman and headed towards that sire's produce and was very successful. So really interesting to see how sort of stake fares.
Yeah, probably had to go at the good 2-year-olds in Australia. So it's such a hard thing to do because the tracks obviously come up wet all the time. But he would look at least as good as Summer Passage, I would have thought. The news has come out tonight. He's not going to the slipper. Everybody thought he would probably not go to the slipper. So the size produce over there is worth an enormous amount of money, not on the day, but because he's a schnitzel and he's from a good family, and if he wins that, he's worth a fortune. So I think they'll be tempted to go there if he's well. He trotted up well this morning, according to Jamie. So if they don't go there, then they go to the size produce at Awapuni, where he'll be unbackable. Because I doubt, talking to Jamie today, because on the bubbles is going to the paddock for a couple of days, I doubt they'll both go there. So if Sort of Stake goes to Awapuni, I doubt On the Bubbles goes. If Sort of Stake goes to Sydney, I think On the Bubbles slides into that space and probably wins the Group 1. So they've got lots of options, and they're the right people to make those decisions. I thought out of the race, he looked a horse going forward On the Bubbles, looks like he's plateaued, which happens to a lot of 2-year-olds after the Karaka Million. Bonnie Lass was great, really good decision from Richo and
Group 1
Rogan.
placing
exactly.
beside her name. Yeah, such a valuable broodmare now.
And against 2 very high quality colts, like she's done a super job. So
and from an ownership perspective, being part of the social syndicate, I reckon it's just great for them. What a taste into racing to have been, had a representation at a Group 1 and have actually placed. I think it's a great concept.
Well, all 3 of those horses are owned by syndicates, and the beauty of that is syndicates are far less likely to sell or retire, like Melody Bella's proof of, Avantage's proof of. If you're in a colt and you own it yourself, if we owned it together, you sell it. You take the big money and you sell it. If you're in a filly, you might want to take it to the Magic Millions and cash her up. But syndicates don't think that way, because they're spreading the wealth between 24 or 40 or 50 people. And that's good for New Zealand racing. We're keeping these horses. Melody Bell, if she was owned by a private individual, probably wouldn't have been racing right now. So I think it's a real strength that we have so many syndicates in this country which are really well run, but also it's keeping our horses in work. So but she's one of the great stories of the autumn, or early autumn, late summer, is Bonnie Lass. No one had heard of her 3 months ago.
I know, yeah.
And owned by some really good people, bred by a great guy, and she's now a Group 1 place getter in a race this time last week she wasn't going to be in.
Yeah, exactly right. So we're going to get you off to a break here on Weigh In, and then we get into the undercard from Ellerslie on the back of that.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
You're back with us on Weigh In, and we get into the undercard at Ellerslie, and there's plenty to dissect through this as well. Levante was a real treat. Race number 1 of the day. She was devastating in taking out the first.
Pacemaker is over on the inside. Any song for Mallarita, the first to move. Sauvignon Blanc has about a 3-length advantage on Levante, who's now easing to the outside and looks to run on as well. Down to the 350, Sauvignon Blanc. Levante's coming after them very quickly down the outside. She hasn't been popped the question yet by Sammy, but is about to now. And here she goes. It's game on. Levante from Sauvignon Blanc, who's trying hard, and then came Imelda Mary, and further back Zaza Gabor, but she's back in winning form, Levante. She'll beat a very game Sauvignon Blanc, who kept on kicking on.
Well, she jumped beautifully, as you saw there in that second replay, and from there it was a very confident ride by Sam Collett. And poor Ken, I worry about Ken's health watching these races, but he would have breathed a sigh of relief after the race because she was as good as you could have anticipated. I thought Sauvignon Blanc was very brave though, and actually made up a nice bit of ground late.
Yeah, they were both really good, weren't they? Jumping with the field meant the race was more or less over, but ironically it wouldn't have mattered if she had only missed it by 2 lengths. She would have been in exactly the same place.
Yeah.
It's just a good sign heading forward for her. She came home in 33.1 and she appeared to be just cruising and doing it. I had a really good talk to Sam Collett about her, and she said when she does get in the field a bit quicker and we ride her a bit handier, even though she was last, she got there quicker. She said she doesn't actually kick on quite as hard as she does when she tails off. She's a different type of horse. In those situations. So the big news with her is obviously she has the option to go to that same race, the Melody Bell / Probabile race, the Coolmore Legacy, on April the 10th, which is the same day as the Tiara Hebreeders. But Ken also said we're not going unless it's a Trans-Tasman travel bubble, because I'm not going to cop 2 weeks coming home.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
that's fair, I like that. So she won't be going.
Okay.
Because
it's not going to change.
I don't think there's going to be a Trans-Tasman bubble in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So she has the option to go to Tiara for the Group 1 there, which she would be favourite for, even though it'll be a very good field. And Avantage could potentially be there, so I shouldn't say she would be favourite, she'd be one of the favourites. So obviously Avantage could be there, 2 Travelling Light could be there, and it could be a great race. Then I said to Ken, any chance you would kick on to Brisbane? He said no. So we're not going to Brisbane regardless. He said we're more likely to reload then look at the spring, potentially Melbourne. Sauvignon Blanc comes out of there, runs second, thought she was really good under the circumstances, and she'll head to the Awapuni Gold Cup. So that's where she goes next. And yeah, just if you're backing Levante or thinking of backing Levante in Sydney, you're basically betting on whatever she's going to pay times how many times you think there's going to be a Trans-Tasman bubble, which is 0.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's disappointing, but still we'll enjoy having her here and being able to see her race at Te Aroha. Another impressive winner on the program was Packing Rockstar, who got away to a great victory.
The field as they head towards a home turn, 5:50 left to run, and the leader is the favourite Packing Rockstar from Money Trail. And behind them Lamia Stella, and then wider out Hypnos. And behind these Remington, it's Destiny's Child, Gino Severini and Carolino. Further back just a canter at the 250. He's feeling for the favourite now, and it's Responding Packing Rockstar. Got away by 3, looking to warm up late now. We've got Money Trail out wide, just a canter, and Gino Severini, but he's too good. Packing Rockstar, beautifully ridden by Billy Pinn, and Packing Rockstar won it. There's a lineup for the minors.
I've been waiting for a performance like this from Packing Rockstar for a little while. Of course, Michael, we saw it last year where he did back-to-back victories across Auckland Cup week, and the circumstances just really suited him. And much like we saw last year, he was able to get away to a really exciting win. He's a beautiful, big, strapping horse, and great to see him getting that victory.
Yeah, and he got an easy time in front for Billy Pinn, so he was going to win that a long way from home. He's raced in some really good races, like the Railway, and he hasn't had a lot of luck and things go right for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back a better horse next year. He'll still be at a pretty nice place in the handicaps. He's not an overly rated horse. So Quinella there for Fastnet Rock, who had a good start to the Carnival. Rocket Spade, obviously winning the Derby last week. So yeah, I think they'll put him aside now. Lauren was saying on television there's not many options for him, so he'll probably go aside, and I think he can pick up maybe a J-Swap level race next year. I'm not sure he'll pick up a Railway, because there's a lot of very good horses going to be operating in that space, Railway Telegraphs, this time next year when you think of the Entrevillas of the world. and that sort of stuff. But yes, thought the second horse was good. Gino Severini, he has options to go different places because he can race up to 2,000 and back down to 1,200. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a horse they go to the well with a couple more times.
Yeah, and we had to wait till the last race on the programme to see a pretty exciting 3-year-old filly, Force of Will. She loves winning. She got the job done again at Ellerslie.
Right, there will say Memories and out deeper. There's always more as they come to the corner. Ever so easy to the outside. Force of Will getting up and behind them now. Looks to get out into the clear. And Belt Road takes a shortcut home. Further back, Joy Alone. Across the track of the 250. Force of Will being called upon. Coming after it, Memories. Belt Road the inside with Max. And Ever so easy's going to get the last run at them. It's Force of Will. She's all out, but she's hanging on at the stage from Max. And Ever so easy. Force of Will. Max lunged, missed, I think. Well, it's closer than the last. I think Force of Will just from Max. It's close though.
Good horses, they find a way to win, and I feel like this is the case with this filly. She always finds a way. She may be all out, but she just gives that little bit extra to get the victory. And once again, she proved how versatile she is. And I know, hearing Lance talk about her, they didn't feel they had her screwed down. There's still a couple more twists to get her to her peak. So pretty exciting what she could improve off that.
And I think Grillsy rode her inch perfect because of that. Like, she was probably 90%, and if he hadn't ridden that well, she wouldn't have won. So favourite punters owe him a beer. She's got a big potential program ahead of her, maybe heading to Sydney for the Vinery into the Oaks, and obviously she could go across there with Rocket Spade and potentially now Charles Road. So Scotty and Lance have had a really good carnival. They won a couple on Avondale Cup Day, the Guineas, and Charles Sabal won. They won obviously the Derby, so they've had like a stake money wise $700,000, $800,000 last month. But she's a filly can add to that. She's a real surprise package.
Yeah, she is.
Here's the Australian Oaks market, which Amaralina we're expecting to go, but that's after the Oaks at Trentham this week. As you can see, she's in the market there at $15 again. Track conditions are going to be absolutely crucial for this, but she's at least intending on going, whereas Needle and Thread and Amaralina have to go to Wellington first this weekend before they get on the plane to go there. So I'm not really sure what to make of her with her breeding and stuff. I'm not sure if she's bred to go an Oaks trip, but she just keeps turning up and surprising. And I'm absolutely convinced there's an extra 5 to 10% from what we saw from her on Saturday, and it was a pretty good performance then. Yeah,
she just finds a way to win, which I just love about her. It's just, there's no excuses. She's always there, and she looks like she tries so hard.
Well, much like we talked about Melody Bell, but obviously at a lower level. She can go there and she doesn't have to go to the Oaks. The Vinery's a Group 1 at its own level.
Yep.
There's a lot of races in Brisbane she can go to as well, and there's a lot of races below the top level, the Oaks, which are worth a lot of money. So I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't end up being a 2,400 metre horse. But they can often get away with it at 3, as everybody always says. I guess we'll find out with her. And also it might be a vastly different Oaks. A bog track, or B, if Amaralina goes or doesn't go. And a lot of that will depend on what happens at Trentham this Saturday.
There's a couple of races on the undercard there at Ellerslie that delivered a double for a young jockey by the name of Tegan Newman. This was the first one, Manrico, and boy, he was electric. He looked fantastic in the parade ring. He's just a ball of muscle. I think I said on the coverage he had muscles on his eyebrows. So that's just how he looked, and geez, he ran right up to those expectations.
Well, unusually bred horse. He's by shocking, but he's had a Flying Babe, and Flying Babe was a good horse back at the turn of the century, like 21 years ago. She was winning races, Flying Babe. So unusually bred. This one, Vasquez, is the the second of those winners by Vespa. Of course, this is on the track where Vespa had his biggest career victory in the Karaka Million. So back-to-back wins for Stephen Ralph, the trainer. And the jockey was someone I hadn't had much to do with, Tegan Newman. So we thought after this we would find out a bit more about it.
Vasquez will lead all the way, second over Alpine Wine.
Well, a double on Auckland Cup, they must feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. I was pretty confident this morning, but to be able to pull it off, it's speechless.
You're up to about 50-odd career wins. Are these the sort of moments you hope might propel you to getting more phone calls for more rides?
I hope so. I've only got 6 months left of my apprenticeship, so I'm trying to make the most of my 2 kilo claim at the moment, and hopefully get down to 1 kilo before I finish. That's my ultimate goal, so I'm trying to kick them as faster as possible.
I presume winter's going to be a busy time for you then, because a lot of the senior jockeys take some time off, but also that 2 kilo or 1 kilo claim will really come in handy then.
I really hope so. I'm trying to ride for more outside people as well before I transition into the senior ranks, just so I can get an idea of where they're at and where I'm at with riding, and getting my instructions well, yeah, I ride to instructions as the best of my ability, so hopefully I can give a few other trainers that under my belt too.
While you're getting on better horses, Tegan, are you starting to ride better? Is it a case that the better the horse, the better you ride, the more confidence you get, and it goes in a cycle like that?
I definitely have to say, after riding for Stephen Ralph, he's just told me get the horses out of the gates and work from there, because if you're slow away then you get planted 3-4 wide, and if you're quick away then you can put the horse wherever you want to put it, yeah.
It's always hard transitioning from being an apprentice to being a senior jockey. Do you have a plan? Have you got somewhere you're going to base yourself and how you're going to go about that? Or are you just going to try and stay as busy as possible?
Just stay as busy as possible. I've got a few ideas who I can go to and ride for. There's always people looking for track work riders, so it should be pretty easy finding that. But yeah, I've got a few ideas under my belt.
For people watching, weigh in on a Monday night, for those trainers at home, are you going to be busy over the winter? Are you going to keep active enough, as I said, when some of those senior jockeys do take some time off?
Definitely. I love riding race day, and rain, hail or shine, I'll be out there.
Good on Tegan, and well done for her for that double on Auckland Cup Day, no doubt. A massive thrill. Great to see her with those Stephen Ralph colours flying high. We also have a catch-up with Paul Wilcox after a pretty hectic week between Derby Day and Auckland Cup Day.
Well, Paul, different feel today. Things have gone so much better for Cup Day. Great to have the crowd here.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're down, and we knew we'd be down because of the limited time that we had the ability to build it up. But to have the racing here with the crowd, delighted.
Financially, it can't have been ideal for the club, what even's happened today. But even back at level one, it must have been a bit of a hit.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a hit. But at the end of the day, we had to get last week out of the way, being the Derby, and today the Barfin-Thompson Auckland Cup. So that's not a primary concern at the minute. That'll come out in the wash when we look at it later.
Special race today with Melody Bell getting the record, and you guys had a special presentation for her.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to recognise the good quality horses that we produce in New Zealand, and to win 14 Group 1s, that's something special. So like putting this race down, we took a punt on that, and we took a punt on Melody Bell to have the trophy ready, and it proved the right call.
This is sort of Ellersly's last major meeting for the summer as daylight savings comes up shortly. Yes, Derby Day wasn't ideal, but overall it's been a very strong summer for the club considering the cloud of COVID.
Yeah, 100%, and I guess at the end of it, when we sit back, your point exactly, it's not just this one race that we look at over the whole season, particularly the Summer Carnival, and right from Sky City Boxing Day Carnival through to today, it's been fantastic, and we've seen quality horses and horses that are going on now to perform in Australia as well.
Paul Wilcox, very generous, always with his time. Well done to him. And of course the team around him at Ellerslie as well, at the Auckland Racing Club, after a little bit of a tumultuous week with the lockdowns that we did find ourselves in. Let's update you on the Jockeys and Trainers Premierships. A couple of stakes winners to add to a number of contenders in the Trainers Premiership. Jamie Richards now at 30 group and listed winners. Remarkable effort by him. So clearly ahead of any of the other trainers on that list, Stephen Marsh, Alan Sharrock and the Pitmans. Also, we've got the Jockeys Premiership for you as well. A quick look at that. Danielle Johnson, the clear leader at 13. Opie Bosson moves to 14 with that success on Sword of State. And you've also got Craig Grills having a fantastic season as well. He sits on a very solid 10.
Danielle's birthday, I believe, on Wednesday. So Danielle turns 30. She's achieved a lot.
I know how that feels. I'm there.
Are you really?
I'm living the 30 dream.
I can't even remember being 30. Remarkable stat around Jamie Richards. Now, the record used to be Murray and Andrew at 25 domestic stakes wins. He's now at 30, but of course Probable's had 4 in Australia. So when Murray and Andrew got the record, they also had a couple in Australia that season. But that's 34 black type wins. Now, they've got the favourite in 2 races this week at Trentham, which are black type.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch more to come. They've got Melody Bell, they've got the size produce here and there, they've got Tiara her breeders, a whole bunch of things in Australia. It's realistic, in fact it's almost probable they'll train, Jamie will train, 40 black type winners for the season or more.
Incredible.
They're sort of stats that just don't seem real. If you said that at the start of the season, someone would say, well, I'd take 40 wins for the season. It's an incredible amount. the flip side to that is, and there'll be people watching this who go, oh, well, they win all the big races, that's all that really matters, and it's one big dominance. Here's the flip side to that, because if you dig a bit deeper, that's not quite true. Here's a snap quiz for you watching at home. Of the 6 richest races run in New Zealand this season, how many have Te Akau or Jamie won? Have a guess. Of the 6 richest.
Okay, well, they've won the Karaka Million. They didn't win the Herbie Dyke, they didn't win the other Karaka Million, and they didn't win the Derby. So they've only
won 1 of 6.
Yeah, okay.
Of the 6 richest, so because people are just thinking this is a complete and utter domination. They're thinking this is, they just win everything. The other race, which of course was the Herbie Dyke Raw Performer, but the 2,000 guineas is worth $500,000.
Of course, yeah.
So of the 6 richest races in New Zealand, they've won 1. That wealth is still being shared around to a lot of people. It's just that they are so consistently winning everything in that $50,000 to $250,000 range. Now, they probably will get Amaralina this week in the Oaks.
Oh, don't talk too soon. You never know. Don't jinx it, Michael.
But that would put them over $5 million domestically. And then all that stuff in Australia, which is yet to happen. So when you go back to that figure, though, that it's almost certain they're going to end up with 40 plus black type wins for the season. That's getting to uncharted territory. Nobody in New Zealand racing's even thought about ever before.
All accolades to them. A magnificent team effort, that is for sure. A break for us, and then we're into action from across the ditch with the All-Star Mile to kick things off.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Into the action from across the Tasman here on Weigh-In, and to start things off, we take in the $5 million All-Star Mile.
Then Still a Star and the Harrovian together. Streets of Avalon 5 deep. Mugger 2 is right behind those stalking them. Mr. Quickie tries to soul up. Then Luna Fox. Russian Camelot starting to dart through the field. And then Probabile. The Harrovian up to Behemoth. As they reach the 350, they run the corner. They were followed by Mugger 2 held up. And here coming through Russian Camelot. And tanking through along the inside is Luna Fox. Mugger 2 coming at Russian Camelot. Then Behemoth. Russian Camelot and Mugger 2, stride for stride. Mugger 2 fights. Mugger 2 for New South Wales. 1 All-Star Mile 3 by a half. Second Russian Camelot, a gap to Luna Fox or Behemoth. It was a terrific race. Then
it was such a dramatic build-up to the All-Star Mile. First of all, we had the scratching of Arcadia Queen. Then we had the storm. Then we had the dramatics that sort of were the day. If Mugger 2 had been beaten, he would have been the biggest certainty beaten, because Hugh Bowman had a lap full of horse and just nowhere to go. But in his normal cool, calm, collected fashion, he got the break at the right time and was able to get home to the win.
It's funny how some jockeys just ride a track perfectly, and of course Moonee Valley's just, well, now the Valley's just been his track. Well done to Australian Bloodstock. I mean, they've invested a lot of money, and they have they bring a lot of people into the game, so good on them for winning. Russian Camelot, superbly trained by Danny O'Brien to finish second.
Yeah, great
just
effort.
Peaked in the last 50, but he was beaten by that stage. But I think for most New Zealanders watching the race, there were 2 races. There was the race and what happened and the win, and that was cool, and the great ride, and then there was Probabile.
I know,
and I feel so bad for Brendan and Joe Lindsay, and also for Jamie, because if this rain holds off, you've made a 3-month plan. The rain holds off for 3 hours, and you maybe win this race, and you're definitely a hot favourite to win the race.
Yeah.
But the rain comes, and she just didn't raise a gallop at all.
It was all a little bit wrong, though, wasn't it? She was caught up in between horses, and it was just one of the...
She actually jumped slow.
Yeah.
It was just a mess.
I wonder if the Valley doesn't suit her. She's got such a... I don't know, we've seen her there twice now, and I don't know if it suits her.
I liked her in the Cox Plate. I thought she was good enough. Nothing went right. It was just a bad experience all round. The one thing I would say out of it is that she looked after herself.
Yeah,
I said to Jamie, what happens there? And she just looked after herself, and she didn't knock herself around, and she wasn't heaving after the race after running 5th. So the options for her to go to Sydney, and if it's dry race again, there was a school of thought that they may have scratched her when it got wet, but it just happened so quickly. And I'll be honest with you, as a punter, I thought the stewards really let punters down there on Saturday. That track was rated a good 3 at race 4, and then the heavens just opened, and the next race was a slosh. It was just slosh. It was just rubbish. And then they said the track's been downgraded to a 4. Now, unless you're watching all that coverage and you look up on your phone or at the TRB and it says a 4, it wasn't a 4. And it's an insult to anybody's intelligence to say it wasn't a 4 because we've all seen racing, it was a slop. And then they said it's a 6, 10 minutes later. Well, that's brutal if you're punting. And I constantly get annoyed by stewards telling people that tracks have gone up 1 or 2 spots when they've clearly gone down 2 or 3 because of rain. It just annoys me. And for punters the other day, it was brutal. That wasn't what cost probably. It was just the enormous amount of rain. But hopefully she'll bounce back and get a dry track in that Coolmore Legacy because I don't want her season to end like that.
I know, not after she reached such a peak at that last Group 1 win. I read online some debate about Moonee Valley, or the Valley as they're now called, putting their name forward to permanently hold the All-Star Mile. That's what they would like to do, rather than having the moving All-Star Mile. Obviously next year it'll be at Flemington. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the Valley's closing soon, so it's going to stop racing for 18 months. Because they're actually turning the entire track around. It's now going to be not even in the same way it's going. It's going to be side on to where it is now. So I think it's a moot point. I don't think it's going to happen immediately. And there's also 2 other major clubs in Melbourne who want it as well. Here's the Coolmore Legacy market, and this has moved enormously today. Probably it was $11 this afternoon. And the news has come out that she's going to head to the Coolmore Legacy as a plan. She may not get there because of a wet track, and hence she's halved in price. It's $1 million, 1,600 metres weight for age. There's no chance Very Elegant's going there. And then Arcadia Queen, I doubt, would go there. She's getting a further vet examination tomorrow. So perfect race for her if the Sydney big wet doesn't continue. And of course, we've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen there.
Hopefully they're getting all the rain now and then it'll just dry up when it comes to championships time at Randwick. Well, let's move on to the Sky High Stakes. This was for the stayers and the chosen one took his place in this.
Ridge in front by 2 lengths. Mustache being reined along. Toffee Tongue filled 4. Then came Mirage Dancer still travelling on the inside of Colette, and the chosen one being roused along, getting right under the back of the favourite as they turn. And Spirit Ridge swings 2 lengths in front of Mustache. Toffee Tongue, Colette to the outside, 2 further back to the chosen one. Spirit Ridge going well at the 250, about a half a length on Colette. Colette getting up on the outside of Toffee Tongue. It's Spirit Ridge still the leader from Toffee Tongue and Colette. She's starting to dig in, but it might be too late. Spirit Ridge still in front. Toffee Tongue lunges the outside. It's a photo. Toffee Tongue lunge there at Spirit Ridge. Very little in it.
She got the head down right where it counted, did Toffee Tongue to get up for a good win. Tom Marquand, he's Aussie Tom, don't they call him? And he gets that horse up to a lovely win. Obviously a good Kiwi flavour with Toffee Tongue, even though it wasn't the chosen one, there still was that Kiwi flavour, obviously being by Tavistock out of Bag of Lollies, a family we've become so familiar with, Michael.
Yeah, I looked at her as a yearling because I knew she would go for a lot of money. She was out of my price range, but she wasn't a big, intimidating yearling. She's not even a big horse now. She was semi-plain, but she was out of obviously being a fool to Werther and just from that great family. And she's worth an absolute fortune now because not only does she have all that blood behind her, but she has such a great record as well. So I thought it was very good to the line, really determined as that family tends to be. I thought the chosen one was good. I actually watched the race with Murray Baker just next to the jockey's room. And Murray was sort of nonplussed, as Murray tends to be, as he doesn't get jumping out of his seat very often about much. But I thought he was really good. He just kept coming to the line. He ran home in just under 34 seconds. He did a really good job in a race he was never going to win, and he looked like a horse who's crying out for 2-4.
He's probably just not got the zip, has he, over there, but it's a maintenance run onto some bigger things. I think he's probably too dour to win at that level, but it's a stepping stone.
He won fresh up at Melbourne last year, but that was the second up, you see, so obviously it's a vastly different experience. And look, I don't think it's a scary Sydney Cup. I think he's so proven running 4th in a Melbourne Cup behind 3 European horses and running 3rd in a Caulfield Cup that we know he can do it.
Yeah.
So the question is whether they can get him there in the right condition and the track is in the right place for him. But I thought it was okay. As I said, Murray was like, but that's Murray.
I don't think you could expect much more from him. I think it's perfect on his way to peaking for some of those bigger assignments later on. Coolmore Classic Group 1 on the card. A bit of an upset here with the Queenslander Crone getting a win.
Angelic locked up, followed by Sweet Deal. Mezzy hitting the line well. Further back to Subpoenaed, Crone at Ice Bath in a bit of traffic. Mezzy takes the lead of the 200 from Dame to Sell. Crone's getting a split. Mezzy in front of the 100. Crone goes up the inside and Crone takes the lead in the Coolmore.
more. Crone draws clean out from Mizzy. It's a Queensland victory. Crone beat Mizzy. Danger Cell third. Vangelic next. Then All Saints Eve and Ice Bath.
Well, a real upset, wasn't it, to see the Queenslander getting home in front. When you look back at her form, she had a couple of nice wins. Actually came through, I think it's a Group 2 victory last time and backed that up with a Group 1 win. Well done to Tim Clark and Tony Golan. We also got a bit of a picture on the Golden Slipper as well, Michael, through the Pago, and Shakira was pretty good in that. Obviously now with Sort of State not in it for New Zealanders, it does change the dimension. Profiteer well fancied.
Yeah, he's the favourite. A couple of late noms coming in. The horse who won the Blue Diamond's going to be a late nom for the race, obviously. So you don't see that in the market here. But look, Profiteer's a speed horse. Barrier draw is going to be crucial for him. Animo was really good last week. Shakira's bounced back after being so good on the Gold Coast and not so good last week. I think there's a lot of horses in this race who can win. Barrier draws tomorrow lunchtime-ish, New Zealand time.
And soft tracks, that's what I'm looking for, handle and
It's
off
supposed
track.
to rain there this week, so
yeah.
I think it's a good decision not to take Sort of State there with the potential of that soft track as well.
And I guess for a race of that quality, you don't want it to be an afterthought. You want it to be something that's been meticulously planned, so probably sensible. I know we'll see a representative there one day, but not this year. I understand you've got an update on Aegon for us as well, confirmed that he heads Doncaster Mile Way.
Yeah, not going to the Rosewell Guineas this week, goes to the Doncaster Mile. Kieran McAvoy's been engaged to ride him at 52.5, so that's a real help. Spoke to Andrew Forsman, quiet week for the horse last week, and they're going to, what they have done traditionally with him is given him a week off after a race, then started again, and that's what they're doing for the Doncaster. So they're hoping to get him there. This is the first day of the carnival. On the 3rd, he's well in the market. Russian Camelot, they are talking about heading there. Probably I would suggest is less likely. She's got 55.5 there, even though she won the Epsom. So Aegon heading in the right direction. He'll shorten that market, and McAvoy at 52.5. It's a pretty good recipe.
Yeah, it is a very good recipe. That's just about it from us here on Weigh In. We've enjoyed a wonderful show this week, and a massive well done to all of the Group 1 winning connections. Of course, Melody Bell into the history books, a first Group 1 win for Bill Pomare and Ocean Billy, and also for the 2-year-old Sword of State. Michael, a pleasure to have your company, and as always, we'll be back same time next week.
And looking forward to Trentham. We're going to Trentham, Emily, this week. It's going to be huge. They have, I believe it's their biggest meeting of the year. It's for quality and depth of horse. Trentham will be huge on Saturday. If you live in that region, we hope to see you there because it'll be a lot of fun.
Alrighty, well, take care, and we'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m.